Great. So moving on to our next speaker, Kolisa Sinyanya, who will talk to us about using social media to promote our research. And so Kolisa is a PhD candidate at UCT, working in ocean biogeochemistry. Kolisa has many accompanied successes in science communication and social media. And these include the Black Woman in Science South Africa Fellow in 2019. She was an inspiring 50 women in STEM South Africa nominee. She's the runner-up of FameLab, which is considered one of the biggest science communication competitions in the world. She was a TEDx UCT speaker, has a very popular and engaging Twitter account, and also runs the Women in Science Hub, interviewing game-changing women in STEM. So for the next 20 minutes, I'll let it go to Kolisa.
Hi everyone, my name is Kolisa Sinyanya, and I'm a final year PhD candidate in the Oceanography Department at the University of Cape Town in South Africa, under the supervision mentorship of Dr. Sarah Fawcett. And I am an avid sci-commer, which means I love science communication, and I take advantage of doing it at any chance. I'm obsessed with my work in the ocean, trying to understand the biogeochemical cycling in ocean regions that are currently undersampled especially. And I believe that the marriage between my love for science communication, my obsession with my work, has propelled this social media and me being able to amplify my work so well. So I hope you enjoy this today. So first of all, why social media? Well, a number of people know what social media is, but not everybody knows what social media is. And I think we take for granted the fact that we know social media, and especially the older generation does not know what social media is or how to use it. Only a few minutes ago, I was listening to Isabel, who is my HOD, and she talks about the Twittergram. Now we know that there's Twitter and there's Instagram, but no Twittergram. So this is a perfect example of what some people perceive social media to be. And so today I want to tell you what it is, why social media, how to use it to your benefit, and the outcomes from social media. And of course, social media is a digital tool that allows us to quickly create and share content with the public. And I believe that we need to take advantage of it because it's free. It's free. Use it because it's free. Of course, you have to use data, but the actual social media is free. And you get to learn new information from social media, new sources of news. And we know that a lot of people nowadays, especially in 2020, with the world evolving and becoming more digital, people are getting their news, their source of information from the internet. And this is mostly from social media. We have a community on the internet, on social media, which is known as Science Twitter. And as scientists, we need to take advantage of that because it's a community that brings us together regardless of geographical position, background, or any other variables that would have prevented us from meeting. Social media makes this quick and effective. We can follow new discoveries. For example, only yesterday, we discovered that Venus has this gas, which is known as phosphine, pH 3. And scientists think it is an indication of life on Venus. Of course, as scientists, we don't know that yet. It is just something that they think could be an indication of life on Venus. And we learned that through social media. If, for example, we had to wait for print media or from radio or television, it would take much longer and it would not reach as wide. Also, social media is very important for publicizing our work. For example, when new papers come out, it is key, in my opinion, it is key to put your work on the internet, put it out there, talk about it. If you need to make a thread, and the thread, for those who don't know, is where you talk about the findings in your work, for example. It's up to you how you want to do it. Talk about the findings in your work, and then you go on and talk about how you did that, why you did that, how it's important for society, and why everyone should follow your work. So there are different types of social media, and these include Twitter, which is my personal favorite. Twitter allows for short posts, links, and images. We have LinkedIn, which is more professional. It's a platform where people who are predominantly looking for work will use, or trying to connect with like-minded people in their professions will connect. It's also a platform that is used for cold calling. There's also Instagram, which optimizes the use of images with longer, when compared to Twitter, for example, longer messages and longer content. And for us researchers, there's ResearchGate, where you can share your papers, you can share your conference activities, for example. Researchers who have written papers in the past and would like to talk about their papers again use ResearchGate. And the social media platforms are distinguished into different categories. So we have social media, which will include, for example, Facebook and Twitter, where we share ideas and thought-provoking content. And then we have media networks, which will include making videos for your audience. And these examples will include YouTube. We'll listen to your content for a certain length or number of minutes, and they can like a video, make comments, and subscribe to your channel. For example, I have a YouTube channel, but I have just one video on the channel. And on my video, I talk about, I answer questions that I was asked by this entity in the United States of America. They were asking me about being a Black woman in science, being a woman in ocean science, just a number of topics, and I address those topics and I talk about those in the video. In the video, most times when I get invited to interviews, they bring it up. I never thought it was even important, but they bring it up continuously. So those are key in putting out your research out there, where you can talk about what you do, why you do it, and people can interact with you, and it feels more personal than just writing a tweet and putting the tweet out there. There are also discussion networks. For example, WordPress. I have this account, and Marcel already told you about my Women in Science blog, which is named Women in Science Hub, WISH. So on WISH, I talk about women who, basically I interview women who are breaking barriers and are giants in their fields of expertise. Isabel is one of the women I interview. My supervisor, Dr. Sarah Fawcett, came up with this idea, and she was like, maybe you should do this at the beginning of my PhD. And I went ahead with it, and it just took off within about a month. So I interview people from various backgrounds in different fields, different industries, and they tell us about their jobs, where they grew up, why their work is so important, and so on and so forth. So as I said, my personal favorite is Twitter, and according to publications, Twitter is a personal favorite for many researchers. And I see why, because it optimizes networking, sharing of information very quick and effectively, as one can be retweeted as many times as possible. You just write one tweet and your tweet could be retweeted, say 100 times, for example. Of course, it also goes with how popular you are. And that's something that you build on your own. So social media is very important for us early career researchers, because we build our networks and our platforms using social media. So social media use is on the increase and is especially important for early career researchers, because the ability to build networks of social media followers has helped foster communication and collaboration between scientists, regardless of our geographic location, as I have already said previously. And I would like to recommend for PIs, for labs, for research groups, the social media platform. And I never thought of it as a social media platform, but it is for research, Slack. So Slack is one such social network, which is often used by scientists for lab managing, for project discussions and mentoring. Scientists can set up Slack channels. So you have different channels, say, for example, for literature, for general stuff, for coding, for whatever you want to call your channel, and you just use it according to that. And these have different purposes, of course, such as discussing experiments or manuscripts with lab members and other collaborators in real time. And you don't just have the people you work with on your Slack. You can have as many people as you like, people in other parts of the world who can share information in real time. So despite the professional benefits of social media, many scientists are still reluctant to use the social media platforms for various reasons. Using social media for research purposes requires practice, just like most areas of science communication. And for me, I believe that consistency is very key. So make sure that you don't just post today and then post again in 7 weeks. There's no consistency. You have to be consistent. People have to know who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and how it affects their lives is even more beautiful. You know, how it improves society. You know, keep those in mind when you are doing social media activities. And it's very advisable to include images in your posts so that people see, know, and create imagination beyond what you just tell them. So if I was asked if I recommend social media or not, I definitely would recommend social media, because it amplifies your research, and not just your research, but you as a researcher as well. So I thought I should recommend for ECRs and other researchers some of these publications. Of course, I found these publications very beneficial in understanding the importance of social media and how it can advance one's communication skills on the internet, and how that can benefit you. And so if you would like to have me share, these are just 3 of them. I have plenty. If you'd like me to have to share some of these with you or all of them, you can contact me or contact the APEX team to get to me. So I will use myself as a case study because I believe that I have been here to speak about how social media can improve your research, communication, or put your research out there for a reason. I am one person or one of the people in a pool of researchers on the internet that does this, and I believe I do it well. And so I have been noticed. So the reasons why I have been noticed is because of the consistency I talk about, thinking about building this network that I want to build. And the key things that I know work for me, because as a researcher watching from the outside, I also have my observations. For example, when someone, I didn't catch that. Sorry, Siri just took over. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, cool. So, for example, as a researcher watching other people from the sidelines, I noticed that some people don't have bios on their social media, and your bio is key. It's very important. It draws in the audience you want. It draws in the people you want to network with. So for me, one of the most important things is the look of my bio, the attracting factor. So if possible, always update your bio. Also tell people who are viewing before they click on the follow, who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And so, for example, in my bio, I have my cover photo, the one with the ocean background, where I tell people who I am, what I do, and what they can expect from my content. And my content is not strictly research. My content is a mixture of my personal life and research, and I have made a conscious decision to do it like that. Also, don't be too stiff on social media. Social media is very flexible. Your audience is wide. It's not just scientists. It's everyone you can think of. Sometimes you don't know who is, well, most of the time you don't know who is following you, especially for me, who has 9,951 followers. I don't know who the heck they are. I do know that I attract a lot of researchers globally. And so my content has to be consistent with that. Additionally, remember, audience is very key. Who is watching? Who's watching? Well, science journalists are watching. I get approached by tons of science journalists all the time who want to talk to me. And when they want to talk to you, it's not that they want to write about you now. They want to hear about what you do, why you do it. And if you listen to my talk now, the why you do it, how you do it, and how it benefits society comes up all the time when you talk about your research. So even when you post your own content, keep those in mind. So science journalists will come up to you and they will be the people who tell you, please let us know when your publications are coming out. When is your publication coming out? And me as colleagues, I'll be like, well, we are still working on it, you know, and then they will, they all say the same thing at the end. Please let us know before they come out. Say, for example, 2 days before it's published, let us know because we want to break the news to the world. So science journalists are watching, employers are watching. I mean, there's a wide variety of employers. Just because you work in the ocean for example, with phytoplankton, biogeochemical cycling, does that mean that's the only niche you in the working world? You'd be surprised by how is out there that you can explore employers. Other scientists are watching. Science greats, the people you reference are watching. The first person to go to they are on social media and they are watching you too. They might want to collaborate with you. They might talk about you when they, say for example, are having interviews. They mention your name and you are there shocked that this person knows who I am. Yes, because social media puts you out there and your research. Wider audiences, which include people who see you as a role model, are watching. There are young kids, there are older people who see you as a role model, who want to do what you are doing. They are watching. Young kids who need information on your field of expertise are there watching. In general, the media is watching. They picture you in their couches, they picture you on, or they can imagine your voice on their podcasts, for example. They are watching. Social media content creators who need science influencers are watching. For example, I have been invited to numerous platforms to curate the accounts and talk about my work. They are fascinated by nitrogen isotopes. They want to know, what the heck do these things do? You know, so I get invited to talk as a science influencer. There's a variety of things you can do with your research. Additionally, announce your professional endeavors. Talk about your profession. Don't be scared. I mean, people always say, don't brag. I'm telling you, brag. Talk about your research. Go out there. If the talk was not online, reiterate. Talk about it again on social media. Make that thread I talked about earlier if you have to. This might be a lot of work for most researchers, because I know that a lot of people feel like, whoa, that's too much time on the internet. Well, we all have different preferences, different paths that we want to take. But if you want to use social media to put your research out there, these techniques will amplify you. And don't rush for followers. I always say, don't rush for followers, just focus on your content. So here, after giving my TED Talk in 2019, I was approached by one of the editors of The Conversation Africa to write this piece on how microscopic ocean organisms and the Earth's temperature are linked. This is basically my first chapter of the PhD, which talks about nitrogen isotopes, phytoplankton, and biogeochemical cycling in the Agulhas Current. And when she saw my talk on the TED Talk was never publicized, by the way, or published, but I talked about it on social media extensively. And when she saw that, she approached me and said, I know that you are still a student, a PhD student, and we don't work with PhD students unless their supervisor will be part of the publication. But we want you to do it on your own. And at the time, Sarah was in Antarctica, and I don't remember if I contacted her, but I knew it was going to be epic. So I went ahead with it, and I wrote the piece. It was published, and it changed a lot of spheres in my research and communicating research on social media, basically advancing that. Also, my blog has gotten me very opportunities This is a Women in Science Hub blog on WordPress, including being invited to speak at the United Nations Women and Girls in STEM conference, which was held in New York in February of 2020. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend that because I was speaking at Ocean Sciences 2020 in San Diego, California. But these are such opportunities that you can create for yourself using social media. Additionally, my presence and consistency and content on Twitter has seen me being headhunted to be one of the organizers for Black in Geoscience Week. Isabel just spoke about that earlier, the event that had everyone talking in the oceanography department and bringing everyone together because everyone was so active and sharing their content on social media. With that, I ended up being asked to be the content lead for Hydrosphere Day in this same global event. And of course, that was huge for me. I mean, they could have asked anyone, but they asked me. And this is linked to me talking about my work because when they approached me, they said, we always see we know what you do. We've never been to UCT, but we know what you do, how you do it, why you do it. And we would like you to lead here with your expertise. In partnership with that on the side, I was recruited to curate the AGU EPSP account for this same theme. And I mean, it's AGU, so for me, that was huge. Of course, this also goes hand in hand again with following trends. That's something we'll talk about again later. Following trends, and by following trends, I don't mean just any trend. I'm talking trends where you have to introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Kolisa Sinyanya, and I do this and that, and you have to say it in different ways. I mean, it's your research. You will have numerous ways of saying it, numerous styles, and it's really up to you to put the content out there. So this event, the global event, taught me a lot of skills, especially about how to juggle an online global event, because these are things we never used to do in the past. These are new things. They have been somewhat exaggerated by 2020 because of the microscopic monster. And so I learned so many skills, but most of those skills I already had because I'm already running or managing one of the fastest growing South African Twitter accounts, also based at the University of Cape Town. I won't mention names, but hey, I already knew how to handle these things, and those came in handy, and it takes practice to be able to do that. And so I would like to suggest to you as researchers, especially as early career researchers, to take advantage of scheduling tweets. If you won't be able to do the tweeting for a certain day, for example, say your day is filled with meetings, schedule your tweets, follow and manage your links when you share them on social media. There's something called Bitly where you shorten your URLs and you are able to manage the link platforms. How many people have viewed you, your link, how many people partially viewed, how many people had intimacy with your link. So those are some of the suggestions I would make. And then, of course, let me highlight the tricks again. So
sorry, we need to, Kolisa, hi, sorry. We need to, unfortunately, go on to the next speaker. But you've made some really good points on the papers that you shared, and yeah, we still would like to hear more about these tricks. Would it be possible for you to forward this information to us and we can post it on our web?
Definitely, yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm sure you've gained a few followers, and yeah, we could definitely learn more about what are following you. Thank you so much, Kalisa.
All right, pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.